Okay, so welcome to the Node.js Node API team meeting for November 15th, 2024. We'll follow our standard approach of going through the project, the team's project board. Before we get started, though, anybody have any announcements or news they'd like to share? Okay, if not, I'm going to share this project board here. I think that should be visible now. So I'm gonna, in terms of done, I won't go through that, but if is there anything in the newly done side of things that we should chat about before we go on to the has PR section? Okay, if not, we'll move on to has PR. So standard
Mhm.
acceptance and catching, go ahead, Kevin.
That one is good to go. Cheng Zhong, he took a look and he approved it, so I think it's good to land.
Okay.
Everybody else can take a look and we can sort of go from there. So in general, there was a rename of the define. We can see right here on the deleted
Yep.
line 42, the rename of the defines that were NAPI prefixed to be node add-on API prefixed. And it's done in a sort of backwards compatible way. So if you scroll up just a little bit, that green chunk there, that's what that's doing there. And this is sort of needed because, say, for example, in some of our tests, we check if defined NAPI CPP exceptions have this behavior, otherwise do this behavior. So we sort of needed to continue having that. So now what will end up happening, like if you use once this is deployed, you use the zip file, which defines it using the new header, the new parameter on line, it would be the node add-on API.zip.
Oh,
Yes,
this one. Yeah, okay. Yep.
yes. So we added a new target there, node add-on API accept all, which takes the includes the accept JIP, but then also defines CPP exceptions all. And then I made a quick test here that either throws a standard exception on line 7 or either throws a non-standard, so a primitive on line 11, and then we check that it's wrapped correctly.
Okay, so that's good. Yeah, and I can see having the alias means if anybody was defining it themselves, they won't be broken either. So that's good.
Mhm. And then just various updates to the readmes.
Okay. Okay, so that one's basically if anybody wants to take a look, do it quickly because otherwise it's gotten approval and probably will land, right? So
Yep.
okay, excellent. This one, review APIs for promotion. So okay, how do I get no? I think we created this because we basically wanted as a reminder, although why I'm wondering why it's there actually
What if you click edit in there? Like open the issue back up.
this one?
Yeah. And then click there's edit in sort of the middle. Like
Right.
maybe you have a draft. Oh, no, then I don't know.
I think we made ourselves, we basically said we wanted to do a reminder, but I think that belongs in progress maybe or to
I
do
think
even.
the only thing left for promotion is like the enforcement of the basic environment and the synchronous versus asynchronous finalizer. I think everything else is already in PR for promotion.
Okay.
And I think for the latter or for the former rather, we're waiting for this this PR, this Node API allow an API delete reference in basic finalizers. I think we need to land that because that's like a breaking change in experimental, as it were. And so that's the additional baking that we were talking about last
Okay.
time that we need to do. Because then that will finalize, hopefully, what is basic and what is not. And then we can go ahead and do a version 11 with that stuff landing.
Right. So I think if I remember, we were gonna make a new version, let some stuff bake, and then do another version. Is that
Yeah, exactly,
yeah,
exactly. And the
okay.
stuff that we're letting bake is the basic finalizer.
Okay. So really this we created, I think a few weeks ago as like a reminder to do something, but it sounds like you've done it and there's other issues, so maybe we just close this. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Well, we can leave it too, but like
Well, maybe
I'm
let's flesh it out a little bit. Maybe
okay.
just be more specific, like uh, add add the basic finalizers to version 11 of Node API Core.
Do you maybe want to edit that one and just add in what you
Sure,
just said in
sure.
terms of the
Okay.
plan? Like, hey, I've done the review. Here's the PR for the one we're going to do now. These other ones are waiting for promotion, and that would be a good record to have. Okay,
Yep, will
thanks.
do.
And so, right, so that leads us to like this default version 10, which you've got, right? And okay, so that's really just anything there. It's just you probably want reviews, right?
Yeah, this should be ready to go for
Okay,
review. There were some unrelated changes, unrelated breakages in Inspector when it was building Inspector on Windows. So I keep rebasing it to hopefully gain the upstream fixes for that.
okay. Okay, but yeah, I could see it could use some approvals. So if yep, let's,
Yeah, please go through it
yep,
thoroughly. I did my best to follow the release document, but I might have missed a few spots. So
sounds good. We've talked about this one. Allow the basic, this one as well. I think,
Yeah, I looked at Hermes
yep,
stuff. I think it's from Hermes' point of view, like we don't have issues kind of making these APIs to be kind of
okay, so
safe.
maybe you could just comment like
Okay.
that you took a look and actually, you think this is fine. So, and I guess it'd be like you think it's fine, and probably, hopefully, you think it's fine for other runtimes, right? So then we can go ahead. Okay, sounds good. Moving on to in progress. Anything you want to chat about on the embedding API?
So last week I have updated this PR a bit. So technically I updated implementation, some unit tests, but there's some work needs to be done around the documentation. I think they probably still need to add a couple of APIs, but probably it's maybe worth another round of if somebody can have a look at it. I just kind of want to kind of get some sense if I'm moving towards the right direction. Um,
Okay, so it sounds good. If people can take a look, I'll try and take a look, but if we can all take a look, it'd be good to give you some more feedback.
right, and probably if you're going to look at it next week, I'll try to update documentation by that time.
Okay. Allow catching of exceptions. This one.
That's the issue related to the PR.
Okay, so basically that
Or
one is, yeah, okay, not a PR, so it's not a has. It's kind of like it has a PR, right? I wonder if I should drag that one over, right?
No, I guess so. That's the PR. The one we talked about earlier is the issue. Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, doesn't matter. Okay, they're the same thing. There we go. We'll move on
Uh-huh.
to do then.
I actually have one that I would
I
like
know,
to talk
go ahead.
about because I've just it's in the needs triage. It's the one that's assigned to me. So the far left, that one on the second bot. Nah, yes, that one. We can put
Okay,
it
so it
in.
has PR.
So this one is a really big one because it's failing to generate the website, and it's because
Right.
it's a major update for Gatsby.
Okay.
And I've gotten to the point, and there's a lot of like plugins that are not compatible with the newest version of Gatsby. And I believe some of them were because Jim was hosting it somewhere else as well. Like I'm not
Okay.
sure we would need a Netlify plugin or whatever. So I'm wondering, like maybe it would be like so then I removed all of the plugins and then I tried that weren't working, and now it needs some additional work for like configuration changes or something because the first page renders, but none of the links work when you click them. So I'm wondering like if it should be spend more time going with Gatsby and trying to figure this out, or like moving to something else that might be a little easier to use, because all we're right now doing is just static site generation, and I'm not
Right.
sure we need all of those those plugins. So
And the
maybe
static site is, it's a link here. If I go to Node on examples. So like, I think there's a site here, right? Is that, no, how would I get here? Yeah, this thing, right? No, that's not it. I'm just trying to find the link to where we actually published the site versus the
oh
markdown.
yeah, oh man, if I
This
were,
one, maybe.
yes, that one.
So that is the site, right?
Yes, this is the site. And
Okay,
so what I have now basically is that first page renders, but all of these links are broken.
right.
And it's really just a static site generation. So
So I'm like, all the way back, stepping all the way back. The site is great to have, but like it takes work. And if we don't have a volunteer to keep it up to date, we could say, well, do we have a site, right? Like that's fundamentally the next step is like, if you're happy to spend some time to maintain the site, then whatever makes it easiest for you is fine with me. That's kind of my take, right? Like if your proposal is let's move it to something else that you can more easily do that, totally happy from my perspective. I don't know what other people are thinking, but like that would be, I think that's the question you were asking, right?
yeah, because like it's either we keep it as is, or if I have time, figure something out, or we remove it because we don't want to maintain. So then I guess those are the three options. And I guess I'll try if I have some time this week to see if I can make something at least comparable. Like maybe the AI can help me with the upgrade. um, if it spends too long, I'll look at other static site generators and give you an update next week.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what we use on some other one, but like there's a bunch of tools like Doczilla or something that will convert Markdown to. Anyway, just to say, like, yeah, if your question is, do we mind if it's switched to some other technology that is easier to maintain from your perspective? I have I don't know about anybody else, but I certainly don't have any concern about that.
Okay.
Anybody else, you know?
Yeah, sounds good. Like we also in some projects using static site generators. So I'll just send you links over email. What we use in different projects. I'm not an expert in any of them. Just kind of if you're going to consider some other options, just something to look at.
Right. I imagine that Node Core also uses some sort of static site generation for our documentation, right?
I think it's a lot more sophisticated. Like we put like special metadata in some of the API docs, and like
Right.
it's a lot more than just like, hey, let's convert some markdown to a static site. So
True. Okay.
you might like audio is the one you could ask, but like my gut feel is there's going to be more there than we would need for this. If it's really
Right.
just transfer the markdown to static, let's find the easiest and like the simplest thing that does that, right? Because yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah, I'll take a look this week.
Okay, thanks. We moved that into the PR? Like, okay, so this has PR, but I guess it's more like that should kind of be like in progress, because like it might not be, that PR might not be the thing, it sounds like.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
So okay, so then we can go over to do here again. It's like these are things we think we should do, but not necessarily anybody's pushing them forward. So anything that people want to chat about on this one? If not, we'll move over to the triage ones.
I guess there's one we
So
can
go
talk
ahead.
about.
Yep.
Sorry, this
Go for it.
last one, and I think it
Yep.
was the last one. Considerations for the next major
Oh,
release.
yep.
I mean, is this something that we would like to discuss about, or have we discussed this?
I think there was an earlier meeting where it was like, hey, there might be some ideas for things we could do in a breaking, like in a major, right? And we should at least track and discuss them. So like I don't think we've said yes, we want to do these or no, but they're like, here's some ideas,
Okay,
and it's a good place to capture them. And then you know, we should have a discussion at some point that says, do we really want to do this? Because it like, depending on how much we can do them in a major, but again, we don't want to break massive people for no reason, right? So we can talk about the trade-offs and that kind of stuff.
makes sense. All right, perfect. Thanks.
Okay. So then over to needs triage, I think these ones we kind of talked about. So this one is probably just that needs to be landed. I'm just gonna potential security issue in GitHub Action workflows. Oh, that one. Right, that one I remember we looked at, but it's been deleted, moved, and I might have even said I was going to do something, but I totally forget what that was. Because we wanted to try and maybe I was going to look to see if in HackerOne there was anything, but I don't think there was. I'll write myself another note. But I don't think so because I get emails for all the things that go in there. GitHub Actions. Security issues. Okay. Long major GC events while using external buffers. So that actually I think sounds new. I don't know if that was something that was 2 weeks ago. I don't know if you already discussed that last week.
I don't think we discussed it.
Right, last week I guess we was canceled, but maybe or maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, canceled.
No, I haven't seen.
Okay, so I guess this one just we need to
Needs
take
needs
time.
triage. Yeah.
We'll leave it in the triage. This one I think has been around for a little while. Let's just see.
Yeah, Chenglong has
Yep.
been man, it's a little talking with it.
Okay, so I think there's some going back and forth.
Yeah, maybe we could move it to in progress so that we
Yeah,
continue keeping track of it.
yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Mhm.
This one is new. I read the gist, but not the details, but I did ask, like, I think they said, oh, this should be easy to fix. So I asked if they were happy to submit a PR, because if they were, I think that would be an easy thing for us to review and deal with. But it is related to shutdown, I think, like finalization and shutdown, which that's why I kind of wondered about it'll be easy. In theory, it's easy to fix because like my gut feel is those things tend to be pretty tricky. So if we had a PR that's like obviously fixes something, it's like, oh, great. Whereas actually figuring out what's going on seems to me like it could be a bit of work. So I think like that one was just a couple of days ago. So unless anybody, oh no, it's 2 weeks ago. So
Maybe I should take a look at it. given that I wrote most of the thread safe function.
I would be happy to have you volunteer.
Yeah, I haven't really. I think thread safe function was before we actually had like the what do you call that? The context sensitive add-ons. So I don't think I ever went into environment shutdown and its interaction with thread safe functions.
Okay.
Might be worth a couple of unit tests.
Yeah, I would agree. So I've assigned that to you since you volunteered. Thank you very much, and put it to in progress, and we can
All right.
see what you learned. Um, this one. So this one you opened, Gabriel. I don't know if there's this like in the triage side. Is there anything? Well, I guess it got triggered because it got hit by the stale bot.
Yeah,
One
this is
still we should leave,
mostly a
or
reminder
okay.
of doing what we're doing, but also doing it at runtime. I don't know that we can prioritize this in any way. It's mostly just like a kind of a keep this in mind type thing.
Okay, so we will remove the stale if there was. Right, so answer is we'll remove the stale because you're not, it's not like, oh, let's close this. However, we will also remove it from the board
Yeah.
because we won't necessarily like, we basically triaged it and said, yeah, it's not stale, but we also will not like do anything to prioritize it. So
Yeah,
we'll
not anytime
delete it from
soon.
this
Yeah.
project. Okay, sounds good. This one looks like it's just something to be done. Same with that one. And then the chore, use the ESLint directly. I see, Kevin, you've been involved and give it a +1. So I'm assuming that's basically ready to go.
Yeah, just some linting changes.
Right. So that's from your perspective, it's all like this ready to go and land.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. I'm gonna like overall that looks good to me too. So maybe I'll just go ahead and unless anybody has any concerns, we'll just land that. Okay. Okay, so back to the board. So that takes us to the end of the board. I guess any other questions or topics we should chat about?
I have a question somehow related to this embedded API I'm working on. As we consider using this lib node in some of our projects, I have a lot of questions from security team. What if, for example, some high priority V8 security issues are like what node.js typically project does about them? Like, and is it kind of channel to get notified about them or something like this?
So I can give you what I know. Like often we get V8 things, people asking us about V8 issues, which are not like they're V8 security issues, but they're not within the node security model. And so we do have this repo, which is called GitHub. Where is it? No, sorry, I'm just finding it. Is no, why am I blanking on the name? I will find, okay, right. So we have this repo, which I'll paste into the chat, which is the Node.js vulnerability, Node.js dependency vulnerability assessment. V8 is one of the vulnerability, one of the dependencies. This is only for public thing. So like if there's already a public vulnerability that people can know about, like it's published and it's already public. If it's not public, please do not put anything in this repo. Submit an issue through HackerOne. But if it's already something that's published, there's a CV, a published CV. This is the repo where you can ask questions, and you can see actually if you go there. Here, I'll share. There are some in there. Where is okay? I'm now trying to find my page again. Right, here we go. So you can actually see some of those are related to the V8, where it's like, okay, what about these? Do they affect nodes? So this is a place where you can, so people ask those questions. often like if we went into there, you know, we can see there's some discussion and, you know, I think basically says they only affect execution of untrusted code, which is commonly the case for V8. Like, you know, their security model is like, hey, we're running code from anywhere on the web. So therefore, untrusted code, we need to contain them. The node security model, which we documented, is like, nope, we trust the code you ask us to run. So that's not a security vulnerability. And in this case, it's explained like, so we're not necessarily going to fix that. Having said that, we may take PRs, but there aren't any promises, like, because backporting things can, like, if they're a really simple fix and it's obvious that it's safe, it's got a lot better chance than like, oh, that's a complex one that affects all sorts of stuff because like we're taking a risk to mess something up for something that's not in the security model. If it is within the security model, you know, generally there is an attempt by people to try and get that backported. So like if somebody wants to open a PR and it's like for a fix to V8 that's clearly within our security model, that is something that I think would be accepted. So I don't know if that answered your question, but
it's perfect answer. Just a couple of follow-ups. You mentioned two things. Like one, then you said HackerOne. What is HackerOne? It's like it's kind of
HackerOne, yeah. Let me go to HackerOne. So HackerOne is like they're actually a company, and they manage bug reporting for people. And I think let's see, Hacker. Okay, so I'm gonna step back a second. If I go to know,
Yeah, if you go back to the
like we have our security MD here, right?
it was in the repo, yeah.
So like in the node repository, we have our security MD. And there basically says like how to report. No,
That was right below this one. This is the
I got
README.
the wrong. Yeah, I got the wrong one. Sorry. Security.md, right?
Yeah.
So in here, it basically says like, how do you report a bug? You can go to HackerOne, and this actually I think should take me more directly to like, so HackerOne is a company that manages bug reporting for companies, but also for free. They support the Node.js project. It gives us an account where like people can privately report security issues. So here, like I could click on submit report. It would let you report an issue with Node that will end up in the repo, and it's private so that like, you know, the people who are on we have a triage team, those people get that CC'd. We have a discussion and like we can go through in the issue and say like, oh, can you give us more information? Or yes, we believe that is. And it's where we basically manage security report. Once we actually ship it, we do try, there is a facility to say like, make this report public. So we do try and do that in most cases. So the other nice thing is it gives us transparency in terms of like, yeah, we took a report in private, we worked it through, but once we fixed it, we can make it public. Or if we say, no, this is not really an issue, we can also make that public, right? So that's the long answer for what is HackerOne. It's like basically where the project manages its security vulnerabilities.
Thank you. And you also mentioned like a security model is, I wonder if it's documented somewhere.
Right, that is in that same security.md, the Node.js threat model. So that's the threat model where we've gone through and we say like, you know, we don't trust these things. So like the things we don't trust, so like if somebody's making a remote HTTP call to a server written in Node, we don't trust the other end to do the right thing, right? So like if somehow they can crash the server, that's something we would consider an issue because we don't trust them. But and we've really said like we don't trust these things, we trust everything else, right? So like if you ask us to run some code and it tells us to exit and it's a DOS and it causes a DOS, well, like you asked us to run that code, so therefore, so yeah, so this is the security model there, and like we try and provide some examples of like things we consider vulnerabilities or not within that model, and we use this to evaluate reports. And like it's not like this is fixed in stone forever. We understand like it could be like maybe we made a mistake and there is something we should change in our model. But like this is the first thing that we look at, the first lens we look at any report through. And if we look at it and say, well, wait a sec, this model says it's not a vulnerability, but we're like, but we really think it is, then we'll probably go back and change the model. But if we say like, yeah, no, the model says, no, this isn't a vulnerability, that's consistent with what we're thinking, we'll just respond with like, hey, based on this threat model, not a vulnerability. So like, it's not something we're going to do anything about. Maybe it's like, go no, but it might be a bug. Please go open a bug, you know, a PR to fix the bug, right? That kind of thing.
Sounds good. Perfect. Thank you. It's exactly what the type of answers like my security needs from me.
Okay. Well, yeah. So
I
like,
have something to tell them.
we're hoping that, yeah, exactly. Like the goal was the security working group worked to put that together so that, you know, we had a lot of, I'd say, less than ideal interactions with people reporting vulnerabilities. And like, this has helped us frame it a little bit more in terms of upfront, like, hey, here's what our thinking is, right? And so, yeah, be interesting to hear what your security people think about that.
So scenario what I'm mostly kind of targeting to, like we're currently using the V8 standalone engine to run some third-party JavaScript code in Office.
Yep.
Like for example, we can do calculation functions for Excel or Outlook add-ons and stuff like. But maintaining this standalone DLL, it's also some kind of difficult part. What I would like to do, like, what if we using libnode is this V8 engine? So on top of V8, we have a lot of another interesting things, and people asking like, what security model behind all stuff? Like, people want to understand if it brings an additional kind of thread.
Yeah. So hopefully that would,
nothing like, yeah.
yeah, that model should hopefully give some context into the kind of things that like maybe V8 would fix, but we wouldn't necessarily backport the fixes for and that kind of stuff. Because I'm sure in that context you have the challenge that like V8 moves very quickly. And so like, you know, they only support a particular version for something like 6 months, or not 6 months, I mean 6 weeks, although it may even be 4 weeks now. Anyway, they move very quickly. So like we try and have as current a version of V8 as we can in Node before we do a major release. But after that point, we're not necessarily going to pull in a new major V8. And like backporting gets harder and harder as you go on. Like, you know, the first week after, it's probably not a huge delta from what we have, but like 2 years in. But I think you'd have all that same problems yourself.
Yes.
Like, and so like so leveraging the at least the Node project tries to do what it can, and you can come and join the Node project as well. Like if there's one that's like, hey, this is really in the threat model and we're going to help do a PR, as long as we can be convinced that not we, but like the project be convinced that the risk benefit trade-off makes sense, then it would help everybody, right?
Right. Yeah, it's a kind of another point, like why to work on something like completely standalone if we can combine our effort with effectively community working on node.js.
Yeah,
So,
no, makes sense to me. I think that would be a good thing for sure.
cool. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, any other questions or topics before we close out for this week?
I'd like to make a comment.
Sure.
Yeah, so Kevin was talking about finding out a uh, markdown static site generator, right? Yeah, so recently I have been coming across markdown static site generator by a couple of teams. One is WheatPress, that is developed by the Vue.js team, and then one is RSPress, that is also a static site generator based upon Rust. So if we can, try to leverage those.
Okay. How about can I link the issue in the chat, and then maybe you can open the issue and put a comment about your recommendations there? Yes.
Yeah, it would be good to have like a record of like, hey, here are some suggestions, and then, you know.
Sure.
All right. Then, yes, thank you for that.
Okay, any other topics, discussions? Okay, if not, thanks for everybody's time, and we'll see everybody in GitHub and next week.
Okay, talk to you later.
Okay,
Bye.
thanks. Bye.